RVers are getting fed up with making repairs they don't feel they should have to make. They are waiting months at a time to get their RVs back from the repair shop, which usually means they lost most, if not all, of their camping season. The price of everything has massively increased since 2020. During that time, a lot of companies were forced to close, people lost their jobs, or a good portion of their disposable income that they saved to travel in an RV. Many full-time RVers have been buying houses and property to call home, still traveling in their RV, but they are done with full-time life. I received a comment on one of our videos. If you want to read the entire comment, you can pause the video, but he basically thanks me for making this video because he was thinking about buying an RV until he found out all the things you have to do to operate an RV. I just share what works and what doesn't work for us with the intent to help others. So I realized I could take a negative topic and hopefully help people make decisions before a lot of time and money gets invested. Today we're uncovering 7 big reasons full-timers and part-timers are quitting RV life. Routine medical care while traveling can become complicated. Finding doctors who accept your insurance in all the different areas you're traveling to can be difficult. For those with chronic conditions, mobility issues, or age-related concerns, the hassle adds up pretty quickly. With RV life comes setting up camp, hitching up trailers, dumping tanks, and driving long hours takes a toll. For those who deal with back pain, arthritis, or fatigue, the physicality of traveling can become unsustainable for both full-timers and part-timers who take longer trips. And it's not just you and your traveling family. You have family members who before lived down the street or across town. Now you're a few hundred or 1,000 miles away. If you travel with pets, that can become difficult as you're having to find a vet that you trust everywhere you go. Burnout, loneliness, and constant change can all impact mental health as well. So your health should be a consideration before you start your journey, as well as having a plan should something change. Ironically, many people who switch to RV life to travel more discover they just don't have the time to actually enjoy it. The vast majority of us have limited vacation time. Even for those who've been with the same company for decades, may still only have 4 or 5 weeks off, and that's not a relatively long amount of time to travel, especially when you're driving everywhere. Even if you have a little bit more freedom than you do with a 9-to-5, working remotely probably means you're tethered to Wi-Fi or cell service, which we all know by now can be a huge set of problems on the road. With limited time to travel, a sitting RV can become just another expense or an underutilized investment. Downsizing is a hallmark of RV living, but the tiny house novelty can wear off pretty quickly, especially for people with hobbies, pets, families, or work from home needs, all of which can require the space you just don't get in an RV. Even the largest fifth wheels or motorhomes have limited space. Storage under beds, inside benches, and pass-through storage compartments all fill up quickly. There's rarely enough room for seasonal clothes, sports and gym equipment, additional vehicles, tools, and memorabilia. Sentimental or larger items are often left in storage units. That means adding another monthly expense and limited availability to those items depending on where you're parked. Even if you have all the room you need to pack in all of your stuff, there's always a weight consideration as well. A small footprint also means workspaces and quiet areas are rare, and it can be difficult to find privacy or just a simple break from each other, which could lead to tension. A lack of space can create boredom, especially if you're used to the space that a brick and mortar house provides. Many folks are staying busy at home, mowing the grass or fixing the garage door on the weekend, so you may have to find some things to stay active. Now, I don't think there's ever been a period in time where product quality with RVs has not been an issue, or at least it's always been a discussion. But I do think we're at a point where consumers are starting to get fed up with it. We're not just talking about a trim piece falling off or a leaking plumbing fitting. We've recently seen some major issues, much of which did stem from the COVID pandemic, however, still issues nonetheless. Unless you've been living under a rock, you know about the frame flex issue, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. The hiring shortage during COVID led to a lack of skilled labor, and because so many people wanted to get into an RV to get away from society at that time, production still had to continue, but quality did suffer. Misaligned walls, faulty electrical systems, the list is long, but all these issues coined the term COVID camper, or a camper built during the pandemic by inexperienced labor. On top of that, we had a worldwide supply chain shortage, so none of this was getting fixed quickly. That left a really bad taste in the mouth of the consumer. And then there was frame flex. Not a new thing in the RV world. Frames did crack before recent years, but it was more prevalent and visible, I would say, in the last few years. Then comes a class action suit alleging not only were these frames faulty, Grand Design knew they were faulty when they were shipping them to the dealers. And where it gets really bad is they were doing everything in their power to deny warranty work. Now, the cases are still pending. I have no stake in that game. That's for the courts to eventually decide. But however it turns out, it still happened, and people decided they were done and hung up the keys. What begins as a thrilling new adventurous lifestyle can slowly wear people down, both physically and emotionally. Constantly being on the move can create stress. Where to go next? Where to stay? How long? Is there cell and Wi-Fi service? Can we fit under the bridges? These are the questions RVers have to answer constantly. Trip planning becomes a full-time job, and exhaustion can set in. There's also process burnout, set up, tear down, sitting in a chair and driving 200 miles to the next site or attraction. Burnout can happen unexpectedly, and it's a big reason a lot of people are quitting or at least scaling down to part-time RV living on the road. Additionally, many RVers reported that they underestimated how much they would miss community. While RV parks offer some social opportunities, extended time away from family and friends and familiar places can actually lead to loneliness. Some people just don't enjoy traveling as much as they hoped they would, and that leads them back to a more stable life with roots. Some people even reported as life happened, they grew into new interests and new hobbies that would be difficult to pursue while living in an RV. You have a house and a vehicle, and both of those come with their own maintenance lists. But you also have a house that's traveling down our wonderful highway system at 65 miles an hour, a house that's constantly moving. Things are going to break, and they're going to break often, where repairs can become overwhelming. Now, of course, this one is very dependent on if you travel full-time versus part-time, but even if your camper sits for 11 months of the year, there's plenty of maintenance that is time-sensitive, regardless of how many miles you travel. Wheel bearings should be repacked every 12,000 miles or every year, whichever comes first. You have batteries that need to be maintained. RV tires usually need to be replaced due to age long before you wear out the tread. Full-time RVers are quitting or transitioning over to part-time RV life simply because the maintenance is just too much. Additionally, part-timers don't use their RV enough to justify the cost of maintaining their rig. The constant maintenance wears down not only budgets, but spirits. What was once fun and adventurous becomes stressful and discouraging. RVers who don't do their own maintenance report long wait times for service appointments. RV technicians are in short supply, and parts can be backordered for weeks or even months. In the meantime, RVers can find themselves stuck. No air conditioning in the summer, no heat in the winter, and a leaking plumbing system in the middle of nowhere. Parts and labor can be expensive and hard to come by, especially in remote areas. Now look, people aren't just quitting because they're spending all their money on travel-related expenses or they're running out of it. There's a couple different money-related reasons. Let's start with the obvious, hand in hand with the number 2 reason we just discussed. Maintenance and repair supplies cost. Add on top of that labor cost if you don't do your own work. You have cost of ownership expenses, which would be vehicle insurance, registration, and for most people, a monthly payment. In many cases, this will affect part-timers a little bit more because they just can't justify those expenses year-round for something they only use a couple times in the summer. Also, if you're a part-timer with very limited real estate, there's now a storage cost when you're not using the RV. Then we move into operating cost, fuel for the tow vehicle, campground site fees, propane. And then there's accessories. Now look, you don't need to spend a lot of money on aftermarket accessories to go out and enjoy your RV. Remember, this is coming from someone who does a lot of product reviews on this channel. And it's not because I think you need to buy all of these accessories. I just want to give you an opinion on something if you're interested in buying that product. Get the basics first, the essentials you need to operate the RV. Try the RV out a few times, make sure you like it. In conjunction with burnout, some people are just quitting because they just don't enjoy it enough to justify the cost, even if they have all the money they need. What I find interesting is that when you look at all the different reasons people are quitting RV life, there's still millions of people doing it every year. So this video should not discourage you from RV life, but I do think it's important to be thinking about these things before you make that investment. It's okay to change how you RV. If you quit, scale down, or even change some things up for any of the reasons on the list today, please leave your story down in the comments below.